Okay.
Welcome, guys, to your Success Club call. Congratulations on hitting Success Club in May. I am super excited for today's call. Courtney Lindblom is going to be our speaker today. She is currently a coach. She is a graduate student working on her master's at the University of St. Augustine for health and sciences and the master's of occupational therapy. And I'm super excited to hear from her today about health and wellness and how that affects us as coaches and how we can explain that a little bit better. So I'm going to hand it off to Courtney. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate this opportunity. So like she said, my name is Courtney. I am from Minnesota, and my mom is my upline coach, and she kind of got me started and all that stuff. But since I've gotten into grad school, I've kind of had to take a step back, and it's actually taught me a lot. I'm in a class right now called Health and or Prevention and Wellness for occupational therapy and physical therapy, and it's taught me a lot. And I've been sitting in this class, and all I can think about is this information needs to be shared. It's a lot of information that isn't necessarily naturally known to people. And so I reached out to Amanda, and she was so grateful or so gracious to let me speak here. And so this is kind of what I pulled together. And just as a little disclaimer, I do have a slide at the end just saying where I got my information, but it is from one of my professors. I got all the information from her slideshows to give her credit. So let's see. Let's see if this works here. Can you see my screen? We're good? Let's see. Oh, where did my screen go? We're good. It's going slow. Let's see. I've got that. Can you see my rainbow spinning wheel of death on my computer here? No? Is it a full screen? Oh. Great, now it's not working. It's saying that the PowerPoint, of course. It's saying that, like.
Okay, hey, I have it. I can share my screen if you just want to tell me to go to the next slides.
It's reopening right now.
Okay.
I did make some slight changes, so it's gonna say most updated one. Here we go. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, that's part of what we have to do the calculations later.
Okay. So my presentation is just about how it's about wellness and how you can help your challengers reach their goals and overcome some barriers to change. So do any of you guys, if you were asked to define what wellness is, can you think of a set in stone definition of what exactly wellness is? I feel like it's just so over the place, and there's not really a specific way to find exactly what it is. And I think that's a problem for a lot of people. They just have this idea of wellness and they don't know exactly what it is. So it starts to go in all these different directions, and it's multidimensional. So it looks at different aspects of someone, and it can go in a lot of different directions. One of the ways it's looked at is the state of being described as positive health. So, you know, when someone says that they're well, it's generally positive. It really describes what you are, and it's not what you do. And so it's kind of interrelated with the term health. I have a quick little fun fact. If I asked you, so there's a survey done about the amount of hours of education that medical students are receiving on wellness. How many hours do you think that these med students got on wellness? Anyone have an idea? Oh, there's a chat. I don't know how to look at it. Well, 1 hour. Not one course, 1 hour. Like 60 minutes. And it's terrifying when you think about there's medical doctors out there that aren't getting the whole holistic view of what wellness is. So I just think that really stood out to me. and kind of scared me a little bit. So there's this differentiation between what health is versus what wellness is. So health is meaning you're free from illnesses that are going to affect you physiologically. So that kind of ties in a little bit of wellness where, your health is, you have good health if you're, able to maintain proper exercise and stuff like that. But wellness is the ability to function effectively and you can meet the demands and use of your free time. It includes good fitness, and it kind of helps differentiate between being fit versus unfit. And then it ties in here this acronym that I'm going to show you guys. It's called HELP. So it's help for the future. So this is HELP. It is health related. It's for everyone. It's over a lifetime and it's personal. So these are the things to approach and kind of what sums up what wellness is. So health related factors, it can either mean that, you were born with some type of ailment in your health that you can't control, or maybe you're just born in a line of people who are really athletic. It's, the people that you interact with, you probably can name or think of a few people who they're just naturally really fit, or they really need that push, or they have, I've seen a lot of people who, have gone through gastric bypass. You have to approach them in a different way. You can't just hand them a program and say, hey, well, good luck. They need that extra push to achieve that type of wellness. So they say, healthy lifestyles tend to engage in health behaviors, and then in the end, it'll enhance your quality of life. Another thing is that wellness is for everyone. Anyone can change their lifestyles and their behaviors. It's not like a certain type of person can only change their behaviors. And so the only way that differentiates is it's different for every person. Some people, their change is they want to be able to walk a mile in 40 minutes without stopping. Some people want to run a marathon. Some people want to do Insanity Max 30 and max out at 2 minutes instead of 1 minute. It's just that that change is different for everyone. The lifetime aspect is that, and I think this really hits home with a lot of the, beliefs, I guess, of Beachbody, is that this is not a for the moment fix, that this needs to be done for the long haul. It needs to be a lifestyle change. So the longer that you practice those healthy lifestyles, the greater benefits you're going to be, because it's going to become your everyday life. And it's just going to be what you do. The P for help is personal. And I think this, again, is really important because there's no cookbook approach. Again, like you've probably seen, you can't just go to every single customer and say, oh, yep, 21-day fix for everyone. It's you approach the person and you ask them, what are your goals? And then you can specify what exactly is important to them and find what will work best for them depending on their goals. And so that gets back to, you have to know your challengers. You can't just, talk to them for 5 minutes and be like, oh yeah, this would be great for you. I always, I'm not someone who gets a lot of customers by any means, but I do know that when I do talk to someone, I really want to know what they're in it for and what they're trying to get. And I think that's really important to helping someone succeed when it comes to achieving that type of wellness. So there's this big thing of change, and we fear change. People fear change. So why do we fear change? There's a study that shows that 90% of people feel that regular activity is good, but only 1/3 of people are actually doing it enough. And that's a pretty scary number right there. If only 1/3 of Americans are actually exercising enough, that means that there's 2/3 of the world, or of America, that needs to get their tush in gear and start working towards those changes. So, people are scared of change because it's disruptive. There's people who are used to spending most of their day and they don't plan out that 30 minutes to an hour to exercise. And so adding in that time, it bugs people. It's disruptive. It's hard for someone to start to prioritize that time into their day, but it's important. It's stressful and it requires purposeful effort. You can't just go through the motions. You have to do a workout and you have to actually try. Change is also resisted because, if they don't have the proper information, that's a big thing, is making sure that you are giving someone all the information they need. The less prepared they are and unfamiliar they are with what they're doing, the less likely they are to succeed, or the less likely they are to, actually commit. So then you start seeing another resistance to change are these fabulous excuses I know we've all seen 101 million times. Yeah, it's too late to change, I'm too old, or I have no time, or I don't have money. They're all excuses, and it's something that we really need to just break down that barrier to change. So I've shown here, these are the stages of change. Down at the bottom, you'll see the pre-contemplation stage. And those are people who are like, I don't want to change, there's nothing wrong with me. And then you have your contemplation stage, and that's like, well, I'm thinking about it. That's someone reaching out to you saying, hey, I've seen you post about this. Tell me more. Preparation would be someone like, I'm actually thinking about 21 Day Fix. Tell me how I can buy it. Action would be, participating in a challenge group. Maintenance, to me, is I see someone as becoming a coach and actually living out this healthy lifestyle and starting to help others. So those are the 5 stages of change. And what I'll, later in my presentation, I will show you how to approach various people who are in those different stages. Because people are going to come to you, or you're going to approach people who are at different stages. And you don't want to approach someone who doesn't want to change, and then they're going to be offended or intimidated by the way that you approach them. So these are ways to facilitate change. And these are the 4 ways that you can approach those different levels. So you have your personal. This is that basic, getting to know someone. You get to know, what are some of your goals? What do you normally like to do? What are your hobbies? Tell me more about yourself. Predisposing things are things that help get you started. So it's getting to know what's important to them. Are they motivated to work out? Are they confident? Stuff like that. The enabling aspect is giving you the opportunity to be like, well, this is what I think would work best for you. This is helping you give them maybe a way to set goals, and they have that access to the programs or whatever type of workouts they're interested in. And then reinforcing are the things that keep them going. So it's that challenge group of that motivation, and you have that community support of other people who are in it with you. You have the social media of the other people, who you may not know but are doing the same thing. So those are the 4 different ways that you can help facilitate change. So this is kind of a graphic that shows you exactly how to approach those people that are at those different levels of wanting to change. So you can see someone who's pre-contemplative or contemplative saying like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me, compared to, well, I kind of want to change. All you want to do is you want to just start out with getting to know them. And then, as you can see, the higher up that you go with your levels of change, the more in depth and more detail you can be with approaching these people. So obviously, someone who doesn't want to change, you're not going to approach them with reinforcing tactics, because they're just going to run away from you. So it's really making sure that, someone who's ready to get going, making sure that you're giving them the tools and that you are helping them stay on track. So that's kind of, does anyone have any questions about this table? I know the lines are kind of all over the place. I tried to make the colors different enough so where they would, be clear. But I think this is a really great way to really stop and think about, how am I approaching these people? And am I doing it in an efficient manner? Because you don't want to approach someone in the wrong way and then rub them off the wrong way, stuff like that. So, when I saw this in class, I thought, this could really benefit people of all areas, whether it's coaching or, people in clinics, stuff like that. So, I kind of took a quote and tweaked it to fit coaching. And all good coaching must take into account the whole person, the spirit of the person, a composite of their memories and their past, their attitudes, their emotions, and their will. We are not here to help someone in a single aspect of their life. We are coaches so that we can change someone's entire life. So it's really making sure that, I have someone right now who I haven't talked to her since I graduated undergrad, and she out of the blue was like, all right, I think I'm going to buy the, Kickstart 21 Day Fix Extreme Challenge Pack. And I was like, threw myself a little party. But, of course I'm checking in to make sure to see how she's doing. But I also am like, so I haven't talked to you since undergrad. Like, I know you graduated with a nursing degree. Like, where are you working? And, checking in on these different aspects of her life, because she now trusts me and she comes to me and asks me questions about pretty much anything. And, I know she's busy. She knows I'm busy. And so, we are able to communicate on our own time, but she knows that she can reach out to me. So I just know that it's important to reach out to people and to speak to them and approach them in a way that's appropriate to their level.
Courtney,
and
go back. Will you go back a screen?
Yeah.
I would just love to add that we have to be our own coach first. We never, everything that you have listed in this quote applies to us as well. And I just know in my 6.5 years of experience as a coach, those who truly succeed in this business do this very well with themselves first. And the coaches that I see struggle are often the ones that are struggling in one or more of those areas. Whether, it's their spirituality, their attitude, whatever. And so I think, this comes at such a great time, because some of you are in the Rockstar group, and I guess like Courtney, you're not, but you could ask Jess or somebody to pull it out for you. But I just posted this morning how a lot of times if we chase multiple rabbits, we're not going to catch any of them. And so by narrowing our focus, we succeed. And this is a really great example of that. I think, people want to overcomplicate the business aspect of this. It's really quite simple. Take care of yourself, be that example, and then take care of others. And that's really what you're saying here.
Yeah. And, applying that to myself, one of the big things, I know, Amanda, I think you might follow my page, but one of my big things is, of course I've stepped back a little bit from coaching starting grad school, but I'm very open about my mental health. And that's one of the big things is, especially going to this quote and really thinking about the whole self, is I had to tap into my mental health aspect before I could even worry about my physical health. My mental health has been up and down for years. It has been great for sometimes and horrible for others. And I actually found that by voicing how I'm dealing with it out on social media, well, to me, I don't want to say it's not a big deal, but it's easy for me to talk about that on social media. And I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me, even, schoolmates, stuff like that. And they're like, Courtney, I didn't realize this was going on. And I am going through the same thing and stuff like that. And so making yourself open in all of these aspects can really help make other people comfortable with you. Mm-hmm. And, I'm glad that you added that, because this was something that I totally had to do for myself. And
well, I think it's so unrealistic when you look at someone and you're like, wow, they're in perfect shape. They never have a cheat meal, apparently. Like, it's kind of that whole highlight reel thing, but and they're always happy and yada, yada, yada. And I think, of course, as coaches, we want to highlight that we are living our best life. And I truly believe that I am. But living my best life doesn't mean that I'm without struggle. It doesn't mean that I don't have cheat meals. It doesn't mean that I don't have inches to let go of. It doesn't mean that I don't struggle with anxiety. And people need to see that we share all of those same things so that, yeah, they can connect with us. And really that's how you change lives, is for them to say, because I've had the same thing recently where people are like, I never would have known or never would have guessed, but thank you so much for sharing, because, it inspired me to either reach out for help or get off the couch, or, wow, so it does. And in sharing our struggle and owning our struggle of being that whole person, it does change lives, because it gives other people a voice and it makes them know that they're not alone.
Yeah. And, one thing that I noticed when I was I took a step back, and I wasn't even posting on my like page for the longest time, because first of all, grad school is crazy and I have to put school first ultimately. And I had to dig deep, and I had to find, I don't have a slide on this. Sorry. This is just a little tidbit, but I had to find my motivation. And one big thing is you have your intrinsic motivation and you have your extrinsic motivation.
Mm-hmm.
I had to find the intrinsic motivation. I had the extrinsic because I saw other people around. I have a lot of friends here at school that are also into fitness, and they're like, Courtney, come on, let's go to the gym. And, those days where if I was just, anxiety was high or I was just stressed, I deal with stress by napping. I am like the queen of napping. If you ask my mother, she'll say that I nap like a 2-year-old. It's horrible. But, intrinsic motivation is one of the biggest things that we need to help our challengers as well try to find. You need to figure out what is internally going to drive you to press play every single day. There's this example / little story of these kids who were waiting for a school bus every morning, and they would go out and they'd play on this guy's front lawn. Every day they'd go out and they'd play and run around. And so the guy who lived there just so happened that he was a researcher. And so he started this experiment. Every day he went out and gave each kid a quarter. So the kids were like, oh, sweet, like a quarter. So then they'd go to school, whatever. And the next day they'd go and they'd play in the yard. He'd come out, give them a quarter. And at the 4th or 5th day, they'd be out playing in the yard, and they'd see the guy and they'd be like, okay, where's my quarter? Like, it became normal to them. And he goes, I'm not going to give you a quarter anymore. Like, I was just giving you a quarter the past couple days. And they're like, well, we're not going to play in your yard anymore. So they stopped playing on the yard. And it's a good example of these kids were intrinsically motivated to play on that yard, but then you offer them that extrinsic motivation, and that intrinsic motivation's gone. Mm-hmm. And so it's important that you're not driven by extrinsic motivation because someone says you need to do something, or because someone looks this way and you want to look like that. It's all about you as a person and what is driving you.
I have a great book on this exact topic. I'm looking it up right now. It's called Drive by Daniel H. Pink. If you're curious about what motivates people, pick up that book, Drive by Daniel H. Pink. And he touches on that exactly. In that a lot of times, like, that dangling carrot ends up not motivating people and disheartening more than it helps. So it's a very interesting book, especially when so much of coaching relies on recognition. So it can be good and bad, and that's a great book to read about maybe proper ways to utilize motivation. Yeah,
and when we talked about that in class, I said, what's the difference between extrinsic motivation and bribery? And it's really about kind of the end result. So, I feel like extrinsic motivation is trying to help motivate someone to better themselves, whereas bribery is like, you do this, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So, I think really one of the big things is when you're speaking to someone, really try and figure out, why do you want to do this? What is it that you want, and how are you going to get there with, obviously with my help, but really it's not going to get done if they don't do that work, and they need to have that motivation, because I know sometimes I lose that intrinsic motivation and I don't press play every day and I go a week without moving my body and I feel like crap. So I think that's a really important thing to add on to helping someone change their life, is to instill that intrinsic motivation, kind of lighting that metaphorical fire under their butt. I know that that really gets me going sometimes. Yesterday I posted a picture. I saw this thing on Instagram, and it was like something about, let's see if I can quick pull it up. Be like, you can't blame anyone else but yourself for not being where you think you are or where you think you should be. It's the fact that you aren't where you want to be should be enough motivation.
Yeah.
And that's one of my big things is, I tell myself, oh, Courtney, like, you work out every once in a while, like, you should be healthy. But then I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, but am I really? And then I look back and I'm like, but I haven't really been working out. And it's like, so I saw that and I was like, all right, there's that fire. I really, it got that motivation going again.
It goes back to that same point of being being that person for yourself, and then sharing that and the struggles that it takes to get there is what it will enlist that intrinsic motivation in others. I don't know if you can come out of the screen share and see everybody's faces, because we have about 4 minutes left, and I just want to give everybody else a chance to ask some questions before. Yes. Oh, that's funny. Everybody else an opportunity to ask some questions of Courtney before we wrap up. So feel free to unmute yourselves or use the chat box. Either is fine. Just taking a look here. Like Suzanne might be typing. I could be wrong.
Well, I'm not typing because I'm on my phone, but that was really awesome. That was really awesome. My struggle right now is to learn how to intrinsically, or find my challengers intrinsic motivation. That's just really eye-opening. So I'm gonna get that book too.
Yeah, it was very eye-opening for me.
Yeah, the engagement in my challenge groups is just waned, for whatever the word is. And I know that they want it. I just don't know. I mean, I've actually had coaches that have dropped out just because, and that becomes a whole issue for me, because I feel very responsible for that. And I can't extrinsically motivate everybody for everything every time.
Absolutely.
That's something I'm learning. So
yeah.
Thank you very much. It's a great call. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Gabby or Jess, do you have anything you want to add or ask? Good. Awesome. Well, it's fine with me if we wrap up a few minutes early, because I got to load up the kids in the car and grab Roman from Stop Motion Animation.
Yeah, I got to finish my lunch and go to class.
Thank you again to Courtney for sharing all of that wisdom with us today. And thanks to those of you who are able to hop on live. And you know where to find Courtney. Do you want to share your like page?
Yes. So it's Courtney's Core Fitness. And I labeled that on the first slide. If Amanda could upload that to your group, that would be awesome. I don't have like separate Instagram accounts or anything like that, but I've been getting back into the habit of posting now that I've kind of got